Hey, and good afternoon, everybody. Meteorologist Greg Majeski back with you here in the North Georgia Majestic Weather Center here on the Weather Nerds YouTube channel as we're doing an update here on Hurricane Melissa. It was definitely an historical day. We started our coverage early this morning, had to break contact right before landfall, and then that's when everything just went crazy. The storm had a burst of strength right before landfall as the pressure dropped to 892 millibars and the winds went up to 185 miles per hour. Now, to put this into perspective, guys, this is top three as far as the strongest hurricane in the Atlantic Basin, and tied for the second strongest at landfall, the Labor Day hurricane in 1935, I think was the other one. So, again, an historic day. Hey, if you come into this broadcast after the fact, if you could like to join our weather family here, if you would consider it, please hit that subscribe button. It'd be a pleasure and honor to be one of your weather sources out there in the universe. We're going to kind of go over everything again as expected. As I mentioned this morning, I said once we got to the 5 o'clock, we would not see that nice clear eye anymore, and it has definitely fallen in there. And part of that's because of the mountains. Obviously, it's been over land for a little while, so it's definitely weakened, but still a very strong Category 4 hurricane with winds to 145. So it's winds have come down 40 miles per hour, but like all that energy is going to release out. There's going to be some changes we're going to be watching closely with the storm. It's going to change a little bit. So that very tight concentric wind field is going to start spreading out a little bit. So the tropical storm force winds are going to spread out. The hurricane force winds are going to spread out a little bit as it's going to now make its way toward Cuba, the tip of Cuba, and then into the Bahamas going into tomorrow. So we're not through with the storm yet. We got some stuff to go through. As the storms pull away, we'll start to see things begin to improve. There's still some cameras out there. Believe it or not, the Kingston camera over the bay is still up. Again, Kingston was far enough away. I didn't think there was going to be that bad of damage there in the Kingston area, but still dealing with some water and some surge still coming into that zone right now. So not bad. But the other cameras that we were watching, no, they're down. So the other two cameras there in Jamaica are down because the power being out. And the Turks and Caicos are next in line for this storm. That's the next storm that's in the path of what's going on out there. We'll go look at the we're going to look at the infrared imagery here. This is what I was tracking kind of all morning as we were getting closer and closer to landfall. And it was one of those things I had. Life was calling, and I could not de-obligate myself for something I needed to do today. But unfortunately, see how that eye really kind of shrunk in there. Let me back this frames up here. I'm going to go back a little bit further. And so you can kind of see the duration here. I'm going to back this up and see if 30 frames is enough here. I'm going to add some frames to this. There it goes. So you can kind of see it at landfall. See that eye just kind of shrink on in there. So it was landfall about 11:30 this morning or so, right in there. But you see this, as it moved over land, that eye filled in very quickly. All right, so the question is going to be, well, is it going to re-strengthen back over water? Not likely. It may hold its own a little bit now. It gets back over that warmer water there between Jamaica and Cuba. I don't anticipate any re-intensification of the storm because once that eye wall collapses, it's very hard, difficult to get it reorganized at that time. In fact, up here at the 2 o'clock advisory, 2 o'clock in the morning, they have the winds down to 140, 165. It's still a very strong Category 4 hurricane there as this thing continues to move up toward the north and east. So, and eventually it's going to speed up. It's going to pick up the pace a little bit. It's going to pick up as a very strong trough off the eastern portion of the United States kind of swings off and picks this thing up and takes it on to the north. So the official track here, there's that track, again, taking us through the areas of Cuba and through the Bahamas where the hurricane warnings are currently up, and then over the open Atlantic. It's going to get fairly close to Bermuda as it goes up that way as well. And then we'll see this thing kind of kick on out to sea and good riddance. So hopefully this will be the last. We still got 32, 33 more days of hurricane season left, but I think this is probably the last big shingding because I don't see anything out there developing behind this. In fact, as I show you the model data here going out for the next 10 days, you kind of don't really see much there coming out. There's a little disturbance you see trying to come in behind here a little bit, but the fact that I don't have a big cluster of lows in here tells me we really don't have anything to really be worried about. So it's just only game in town is there looking at Melissa, getting it on out of the way as it gets picked off by that big trough there, goes around that area of high pressure and kind of kicks on out into the Atlantic. So goodbye, good riddance. But the damage is going to be tremendous, and we're kind of seeing a little bit of that right now with stuff going on there. So Again, it's just once the storm gets clear, the crews can get in there to start doing some stuff. So we can go over here and take a look at some things here. I've got, I did get the Twitter feed up. I wanted to show a couple things on here. So let me go over here to X and show you some things here real quick. Let me get over to that real quick here. Oops, I think I went down too far. And if you hear the alert tones, that's because we got a little severe weather going on in the country, which I'm not really concentrating on that right now. But here's one of the photos I did see here. I'm not sure where this is at, but the roof's completely blown off, debris all over the place, and flooding in here. Again, one thing that we got to be careful of, obviously, on X and anything else, what's legitimate and what is AI generated. That's probably the biggest thing that's going to be a pain here. But you got 3 million people on this island, and I saw this video here earlier. I'll play this one for you here. Oops, let me get that out there. I'll get this back on. Here we go. Again, you get this. Look at the shanties. This is some of the video coming out of Jamaica. It's a hurricane force winds were kind of blowing in there, so it was pretty rough. And I tell you, the thing that's really devastating is, and I go back over here to Radar Omega, is the eye or the center portion of this thing looked like it went right over, pretty close to Montego Bay. Now, those who are not familiar with Montego Bay, that's the second largest city in Jamaica. It's also where a lot of the tourist locations are located up there in Montego Bay. That's where I think a lot of your different tourist destinations are in there. That's where the touristy airport's up that way. So this is significant for Jamaica because that's their tourism. That's their main dollars that come in is through tourism and some agriculture stuff. Now, the good news is, as far as the east side of the island, over there at the Kingston International Airport, that's where probably all the relief efforts are going to come into, because they're not going to be able to get into that main Montego. There's a couple of roads that they can get in here. You've got this 4-lane highway that they'll probably cut off, or they'll probably just turn that off to regular traffic and have all the relief efforts coming out of Kingston, out of the airport, and go up into this devastated area, and then all along the south as well. We did have a storm chaser out there earlier, but I don't see him out there streaming right now. I'm not sure if he was using the infrastructure or using Starlink uplink there, but you can see how this thing moved on in here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer. Went right over Bethel Town, and then the eye looks like it went right to. It looks like it started turning to the right here just a little bit. It wobbled to the right as it moved to the right, and then kind of moved over here to the right a little bit. So, but it came up this way, and again, that eye wall was right over Montego Bay. Really bad as that thing was making its landfall. But it had a pretty eye there. It was a gorgeous storm this morning. One thing I'm waiting to see this morning that stood out for me, and I should have not realized that the strengthening was happening. There was a tremendous amount of lightning in that eye wall. Just unbelievable amount of lightning that was going through there. So the lightning was a good indicator here that the storm was strengthened, and the pressure. When I left, I had checked it before I left because somebody asked if it was going to strengthen. It was at 901 millibars on the 8 o'clock advisory, and then I checked the vortex meshes. It said 903. I was like, okay, well, I guess it's just kind of holding its own. It shouldn't, it wasn't showing indication of strength. And then the hurricane aircraft came out, done another drops down, and that pressure had dropped about 10 millibars, so almost 10 millibars. So it had dropped off. And again, all that lightning that was in that eye wall was a good indication. I'm looking forward to seeing the time lapse of the lightning vortex. I'm sure that's gonna come out on Twitter here eventually, because I just had never seen that kind of lightning that going on in there at that time. Just unbelievable as it goes through. But again, down here toward Kingston, now this camera continues to be active down toward the bay. They're getting some very strong tropical storm force winds in there. Very angry looking bay right there. The fact they still have power there. That's a good thing to see that they're able to do it. But a lot of the cameras in Kingston itself are out. So this could be on a battery power. Who knows? It might be. But the bay, as you clearly see, is very angry right now with a lot of stuff going on there. And so we're going to be watching here. Let me go over to the model data here. I want to show you the latest model update here. Let me go over to this. Let me get this up real quick. Okay, here we go. So we're going to go over to the model data here. We're going to show you the model outbreak here. As this is the latest and greatest here as this thing comes on out. One thing you're going to notice is back before here, look how concentric this thing was. And then it's going to really start opening up. So looks like we're looking at a landfall happening during the early morning hours. Looks like maybe 5 o'clock in the morning. We got it going across Cuba at that time, and then it reemerges out here in the Bahamas. And notice the wind field. It's really going to expand out. Again, that's going to grow as we go through the forecast period on this, okay? So again, I want to kind of read this out for you real quick. I'm looking at the 5 o'clock. So the top winds are at 145, and just clicking here, pressure's up to 921 millibars. Hurricane force winds are still 30 miles from the center, and tropical storm force winds are 195 miles from the center. So that has not changed from this morning's update. But the pressure's up to 921, which is still very, very low, just tremendously low there. So again, this storm will be moving up here through the Bahamas, and then it looks like it gets goes up to the north here. See how close it gets to, goes out in the open. Where is Bermuda? I usually saw Bermuda in here somewhere. I guess it's, looks like it's staying, oh, there's Bermuda right there. Looks like it's staying just up to these. Here's Bermuda right there. There's Bermuda. And so it'll be on the right side of the storm, but probably far enough away where it's not too terribly bad. So, but there's the activity going throughout the day on Wednesday going through the Bahamas. So we'll be doing some live coverage tomorrow here morning to give you an update, and we'll be updating it throughout the day as it goes through the Bahamas and then starts to clear on out. But the big thing for today is going to be Jamaica itself and getting the relief efforts in there. So what's going to happen, just so you know what's going to happen on this stuff, is you're going to have they're going to set up a base of operation, most likely at the Kingston International Airport. Okay, that's where they're going to bring in the hub. They're going to bring in the supplies, relief efforts, and things out there. The U.S. Navy, U.S. Coast Guard will also be involved in joint operations with the Jamaican government to start bringing in relief supplies and things like that. I know the British Navy, I also saw reports on that, will be involved as well. To get involved in and to bring in some of the relief efforts. Obviously, the first thing they got to do is clear the roads as much as possible, get the power back up, and look for search and rescue. Because the thing is, where this eye wall went in, anybody that was in this, we're talking the winds that were equivalent to a category, EF4 tornado. EF4 tornado. We're talking about an EF4 tornado that, by the way, was 10 miles wide as it was moving through the area. So Betheltown, Savannah, Lamar, Petersfield, all this area in here is going to be just decimated with unbelievable destruction. Again, Montego Bay, I'm very interested to see how that looks, where all the tourist destinations are up that way. So it didn't get the storm surge, but there'll be a tremendous amount of wind damage. The winds were coming out of the north as this thing was going by. Once it got to the north, so here it's coming north. The winds are coming this way. And then they will get the storm surge as it's moving back out to sea right now. So again, I do not anticipate us seeing that pretty eye once again. It'll probably stay filled out for the duration as this moves up to the north. Again, appreciate you guys checking out the channel. If you guys have any weather-related questions on this hurricane, again, an historic one at that, pressure at 892 puts it on par with the Labor Day hurricane that hit the Keys back in the 30s, and a devastating storm. Now, we're fortunate it was on the far end of the island, not dead center mass of the island, as some earlier models were kind of indicating this thing was going to cut right through the island. In fact, one of them actually had it going through Kingston itself, which is a good thing. So the fact that it was further down the coast was a definite positive there for this as the storm made its landfall. So, but I tell you, I haven't seen anything like that. The last storm I saw that I remember strengthening like that right before landfall was Hurricane Michael, the Cat 5 that hit up in the Florida Big Bend back in 2018 near Tyndall Air Force Base. That was the last time I saw one that had a burst of strength right before hitting a landmass area. Now, this, of course, was an island, but it still counts as a landfall. So this that storm got up to, I think, 160, 165, I think. This one was stronger. This one was 185 miles per hour at landfall, now back down to 145 as it continues to move up to the north. Melissa Edwards, your namesake. Yeah, how you doing, Melissa? Yeah, your storm is moving off the coast now, reemerging over the waters of the between the strait here between Cuba, which is up here toward the north, and Jamaica, which is down here to the south. So it's getting ready to move on off here. Let me switch over to the other satellite imagery there. There you can kind of see it right there as we're going to be losing our daylight here real quick with the sun setting here soon. And as this thing continues to move, again, a fairly compact storm. That was another plus there for the storm. The fact that it did have the hurricane force winds that were very tight to the center and held that through. So it was only 30 miles across, and the tropical storm force winds were 195 miles across. So that's why Kingston was greatly spared. And thank you for the new subscriber, by the way. Thank you, sir. And again, this right now is all going to be about, it's going to have to get a little bit further away for them to really be able to do any kind of search and rescue and stuff. So really, to be honest with you, the fact that it's getting ready to be nightfall, it's probably going to be tomorrow morning before any real relief efforts get underway. And tomorrow morning, we'll probably start seeing our first real images coming out on this storm. Let me go over here, back over to Twitter here. I'm going to look here real quick as I'm just kind of seeing if there's anything new out there to show what's going on there right now. Medical facilities in Black River, Jamaica has reportedly been destroyed, according to Jamaican senator speaking to NBC. So catastrophic damage here. This, I'm just kind of looking here at this is one of the shots. If you haven't seen this one, I'll show it to you again. Just ripping the roofs right off. This looks more like a tornado damage than it does anything else. Just unbelievable here. Go back over here to this. So again, here's you kind of see the roof damage here, the flooding taking place into that zone quite a bit. And again, I'm just going to kind of scroll through here. Here's another one here, another short little video. Kind of seeing the roofs just being blown right off. Yep. Like I said, you wait until you start seeing the aerial drone footage from this. It's going to be quite dramatic what you're going to see come tomorrow morning. It's going to look like a bomb went off. It's going to be absolutely bad. Now, another thing I do want to mention: be careful who you give your money to or donations. Okay, folks, make sure it's a legitimate operation. Every time we have a natural disaster like this, we get these things that pop up to try to take advantage of the situation. Be careful. Make sure it's a legitimate organization, American Red Cross or something like that, local church communities, whatever. Just be careful, because there's going to be these things that pop up out there. Like I'm seeing one here for Black Curacao Caribbean Hurricane Relief Fund. For those that, I don't know if that's legit or not. You see that right here. Is that legit? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. So you got to be careful on what's going on out there. Just when you're going to give donations, if you want to help be helpful, just make sure that the organization is legit. And again, I'm seeing this out here. That looks like that's the American Red Cross. That's fine. But again, just be careful out there for who you give your money to out there and what's going on. Let me do another research here. I'm going to do another. And thank you for that new subscriber, by the way. I do appreciate you. Thank you very much. All right, let's see here. Let's see if we got anything I mean, look at that thing. Wow. Just look at that thing. Just the swirl, the perfect vortex. And that was, there's a hurricane hunter fly through right there. This was amazing. Just look at that stadium effect. Just unbelievable, unprecedented. Just seeing what this thing produced. It was really scary to watch this morning. It really was. The fact that it had the perfect vortex. It looked like a swirl all in on itself. And this is just amazing video here from the Hurricane Hunter aircraft from inside the eye wall. And look, you see the clearing up above it. Just unbelievable. Again, I appreciate you guys checking out our coverage here on the Weather Nerds YouTube channel. If you are new to the channel and you would like someone to give you a no-nonsense approach to weather, which is what I'm trying to combat out there in the social media world, please consider joining our family here. Be an honor and privilege to be one of y'all's choices out there. Again, kind of looking at this, more video out here. Here's some more flood. This is going to be something we're probably going to see a lot of. Look, check out that. Wow. Unprecedented. Look at the flood video. Unbelievable. Unfortunately, I know we're going to have some deaths here. How many is going to be the question mark, unfortunately. But when you see video like that, that's just unbelievable, seeing that. And just this unbelievable destruction we're going to see with this thing. Here's another, that was from yesterday's. That was the 27th. That was the 27th. Yeah, this was from yesterday's too. This was a longer one, but just look at that eye wall. Unbelievable. Gorgeous. There's one video I saw where they were coming out of the clouds and they emerged into it. It was really, really cool to see. Looks like this flooding video was Santa Cruz. It's Santa Cruz, Jamaica. That's that video there. That's Santa Cruz, Jamaica. This unbelievable destruction here. Look at that thing. Look at this loop. Wow. Amazing. That is just textbook gorgeous and destructive at the same time. Just unbelievable. And it's just getting toward the end of the day. So this is right. This was yesterday most likely because I saw the light coming out. But look at the thunderstorms. These are the outer feeder bands here. Very dense central Oregon. See the swirls, how that looks like that? Vortex. That's how it was looking this morning. See those little waves generating outward? Just unbelievable. Just unbelievable how that thing was looking this morning. There's another shot from last night. Let's see. Let's look at this video here. Yeah, people out there. Let's see. Medical facilities in Black River, Jamaica, have reportedly been destroyed. And we talked about that. Look at these winds here. Just unbelievable to see that. All right, hey Tyler, good to see you there, Tyler. P. Cal, good to see you. Sophia. Yeah, again, you guys just got to be careful if you guys are going to do any kind of donations out here. Here's the one that was making the rounds yesterday. This is the one. Oops, sorry about that. Little pop-up ad. This was the one that was making the rounds yesterday. That was really amazing. You see him come. Watch it just kind of come out and into the clear open. I mean, it almost looks like heaven. How that was looking right there, just unreal. You see the opening of the sky and the eye down below. Just unbelievable view there. Here's another video. This is Treasure Beach, Jamaica here. A lot of these power poles and a lot of these trees are going to be flattened, especially where the core of that hurricane went across. That's an 11-second video clip. So I want to go back here to Radar Omega here again. I want to loop this once again. So as this thing was making the landfall, and I'm going to back this up a little bit more. Let's go 50 frames. All right, there it goes. So you can see the motion here from this morning as it made landfall right there. It wobbled to the left. It really had me concerned because the path was over here, and then it wobbled. It made it kind of wobble more to the left there. You see it kind of wobble this way. And as a result, the hurricane eye wall went right smack over Montego Bay, which is, again, the backbone of the industry, the tourist industry of Jamaica. How those buildings fared with a Category 5 hurricane, the winds are probably a little bit weaker on the top, but still strong enough, probably 160, 170 mile per hour winds. Right now it's back down to 145. But that is just unbelievable stuff there as this thing was kind of moving up to the north. All right, here, looking at y'all's comments out there. Sorry about that. Good to see y'all out there. Again, if you're new to the channel, let me introduce myself. I'm meteorologist Greg Majeski here on the Weather Nerds YouTube channel. And I couldn't do wall-to-wall, unfortunately, this morning. I had family obligation I had to do today with my daughter, and we took care of that. That was good. And we were tracking this thing this morning. And right when we went off air this morning, that's when that new vortex message came in, and it showed the pressure that went from about 901 millibars down to 892. The lowest was 882, by the way. That was Hurricane Wilma back in 2005. So this one was the third strongest recorded strong. It's also the strongest ever at landfall, tying with the Labor Day one in the 1930s. So both these were just unprecedented. And this is also the third Category 5 hurricane this season. So you can't argue with the fact that the building of the heat out in the tropics is having a problem. These storms, we're not really getting a huge increase in the numbers, but when we get them, they're big. They're feeding right off those very warm waters of the Atlantic, and they are just turning into beasts We're very fortunate this year. We did not have a single hurricane or tropical system make landfall across the continental United States. Last year we had four. And we had two Cat 4s. So this year, again, we didn't get that. But this is gonna require months, if not years, of recovery for this. So again, the best place I can tell y'all to go to make a donation is with the American Red Cross. We know that's great that they're going to get those resources down there. And I'm sure the Jamaican government will probably put up something as well. I cannot stress this enough about the fact that they're going to get the chambers. You're going to get these folks. You'll get them. They'll pop up in your Facebook feed. They're going to pop up on your phone, text message, whatever, to there. And you just got to be careful of where you get that money to out there. All right, let's go back and take a look at Jamaica. Let's go look at the bay again. And believe it or not, we actually still have one camera down here in the bay that's continues to be up. And they're still looking at that water. It's still, again, piling up in there a little bit here. There's Kingston here. So if you look here, that's the bay right there. So what's happening now is you still got a lot of wind. You still got a lot of this water piling up into the southern coast. Now, as it gets further north, it should start to lessen up. And thank you for the new subscribers, by the way. Thank you. That should start to diminish. But again, this is going to be the target. John Baker. Hey, thank you, John Baker. Thank you for coming on board. That's going to be the target for all the relief efforts, okay? And as this thing begins to move away, again, the Navy, the Coast Guard, everybody will be kind of moving into Kingston for tomorrow. They're damn sure not going to be up Montego Bay. That area is just going to be completely decimated up there on that far western part of the island. What's going to be interesting is when you see these aerial drones, you're going to see a path where you're going to say, that doesn't look like a hurricane. That looks more like a dang-gum tornado. It's going to look like Barbados and Grenada last year with Beryl, where it's just going to be, everything's going to be flattened. It's just going to be like somebody came in there and mowed down every tree, every building, or be completely flattened on that. Again, we're talking about a third world country here, so it's a poor nation, 3 million people or so on this island, and we're going to be talking about the damage recovery efforts on this for a while. Now, with that being said, we're not done with the storm. We got the storm out of Jamaica. Now Cuba is in the crosshairs. Now Guantanamo's down here. Of course, the military's got a Navy base down here. I guarantee you they batten down the hatches there as well. And as the storm moves up to the north, they're going to be fairly close. Let's see how many miles that is for just a check here. All right, so they say it stays on that path, and Guantanamo's right about there. So they're about 75 miles away. So that means that as tight as that wind field is, they should be okay. They might get some hurricane force gusts, but they're all right. But they're going to get a lot of storm surge in there too. All right, so you're going to get that as well. So you're going to get a lot of water. That's going to once the center gets up here, we're going to get a lot of water. It's going to start piling up in there, and that's where Gitmo is. So obviously that's going to be a concern for the Navy personnel into that area. Then as it crosses over across the Cuba, then as a Cat 3, it's going to come into areas of the Bahamas. All right, so you can see the Bahamas are coming right through there. So right now it's being covered up by the satellite imagery there. So the Bahamas are still next in the pass as a Category 3, still a major hurricane. So it's gonna be a long night for the folks in Jamaica. Things should begin to improve now that the eye is offshore. It'll be pulling away. The winds will slowly but surely diminish. Right now, the winds are kind of whipping around out from the west. So what's happening right now? Let me stop this. The last image here, right there. So the winds are kind of coming this way across the island, and then wrapping around this way, obviously around that center of circulation. So they're kind of coming across there with some very strong gusty winds, and we'll see what happens with some of the reports this morning. Again, I want to welcome everybody here to the channel. It's now 5:36. We had landfall of Melissa this morning, about 11:30 or so. It hit the island with winds of 185 miles per hour. We had wind gusts up to 220 miles per hour. We're getting into, EF5 tornado range here. So we're talking about an eye that was about 10 miles across, that had basically sustained winds of an EF4 tornado, and it cut a path right through the eastern or the western portions of Jamaica. The eye wall looks like it went over Montego Bay, which is the second largest city there in Jamaica. That's where all the tourist places are up there on the north coast. and that entire western end, from the reports that are coming in on Twitter, everything else, is complete decimation, total destruction. And we knew we were going to see that. Now, I've not had any official death reports yet. I'm sure we're going to start getting some coming tomorrow. We'll start seeing those, and then we'll see the folks. Then we'll see Cuba getting into their part of it going into tonight. So conditions are going to deteriorate here across Cuba, but they're going to be dealing with a storm that's going to be about 40 miles per hour weaker, but still a substantial hurricane. 140 mile per hour winds is nothing to sneeze at as far as hurricane strength's concerned. So that's going to continue to be a problem as this thing moves up to the northeast. And it's going to move off, like I said, into the areas toward the Bahamas. So let me look at the Gulf East sector here, not that one. Let's see here. Let's look at the Gulf Caribbean. Is that going to be up there? Let's see here. It's the visible. I'm going to go back a long way here. There we go. Just want to be able to see the big perspective here. All right. So there's our storm. There's our track going right here. You see this frontal up here. This is what's picking up the storm right now. And then we got this storm back here. That's the upper level system that's going to really drive this thing and really accelerate it on out to starting sometime tomorrow. So right now the initial trough has picked this thing up and is moving it up toward the north. And then we'll see the second system come up and really take it out. So we're getting some severe weather back here toward Texas and Louisiana. That's what those alerts you're hearing with this upper level low with some severe weather there. But again, this is the game in town. Still looks pretty healthy. I mean, we still got pretty good outflow. One of the things that I've been looking for is see if the wind shear was going to pick up, and I'm not seeing that yet. Okay, so wind shear is something that really kind of weakens the storm quite a bit. But boy, this thing had just a tremendous look at it. Look at how those things look. Look how pretty that thing was. Just unbelievable. I'm going to go in a little bit closer on this first perspective here. Again, you're not going to see that. You're not going to see. I'm in a wrong mode to kind of see. Look at that thing. Went right over the sun and right over Montego Bay, and then went to the right. Just unreal. Unbelievable. Just unprecedented there. All right, kind of see if anybody had any questions out there. I'm just kind of looking at the feed here. Okay, y'all be cordial out there. No, let's not. I'm seeing y'all, just watching y'all's chat there on my monitor over here on the side. So I guess somebody's reporting on the island, on what part of the island they're on. I don't know. If they're on any part of the island, it's going to have to be on the east side of the island. That's for sure. Let me go back here to. I want to go back to the high res. Stand by here for a second. Let's go back here to this, and go back to the long wave. All right, here we go. This is the best looking picture here. Again, right there at landfall, and going over Montego Bay.
Warning has been issued.
All right, so here's the official track. If you didn't see that, again, we're going to take this thing right on out. That's something they just added. They just added hurricane watches up now for the island of Bermuda. That's just been added. I just noticed that. That was not there a minute ago. So it is there now. There is the hurricane watch up now for Bermuda as this thing gets up toward their way going in toward Thursday night, Thursday into Friday morning. So that's when they're going to see that up there. We got the hurricane watches or warnings up here for the Bahamas, Cuba, still over Jamaica right now, hasn't pulled far enough away. We got the periphery here getting some of the tropical storm force warnings on the other side of that as that pulls away. Look at the quad cameras here. The camera we're going to be watching, I'll switch out the Kingston Harbor camera, which is the bottom left-hand corner, with the Turks and Caicos for tomorrow morning. So when we come on tomorrow morning, we'll be talking that. And the new update just came in. I just noticed that it was, I'm still holding. 145 is, the next update will be coming in at 8 o'clock. So we'll have an intermediate advisory at 8 and then the full update at 11. So what I expect overnight, I do not anticipate tomorrow morning to see another eye wall like we just saw, okay? It's so difficult for these things once they lose that configuration to get that back. So I do not anticipate seeing an eye wall. It will hold its own. Again, this thing will be making its landfall up here early in the morning, very early, coming in across Cuba. So by the time I come on tomorrow morning about 8 o'clock, and thank you for that new subscriber, by the way, we should have it somewhere over Cuba or maybe emerging out over here. because by the time we get to 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, we're up here in the north with the winds back down to 115. So again, this thing's going to start accelerating and picking up speed because of that digging trough coming off the East Coast. And I can show that to you here. Let me go back over here to the data here. I want to go back over here and show you that. Let me go back over here. Hold on 1 second. Not that one. There it is right there. Okay, so I'm going to pull this up for you here. This is the 12Z run here on the European model. Let that reload.
New information. This severe thunderstorm warning.
So this thing's going to basically, it's going to come out of here, and we got a big trough coming off the eastern seaboard here. That's going to be the big thing that's going to get that going. All right, that's not going to load. We'll go over here then. We'll go over here. Oops. Sorry about that. Get this up. All right, 12Z doesn't want to load. We'll go to 6Z. All right, we'll go to 6Z run. Here we go. All right, so there's our storm down in the bottom corner. See that big trough here? Here comes the trough coming out the east seaboard. Going to pick it up and just really kick it right on out. See how fast that's going to move? That's going to really accelerate. And thank you for the new subscriber, by the way. Thank you. And you see that kind of moving right over Cuba, right over the Bahamas. And let me turn the timestamp on for you there. So it's going to come right over the Bahamas and then go right on out and then go right over Bermuda. But you see the big trough in its wake as this kicks on out. We're going to have a big trough there in the east as this thing kicks on out. It should clear up some very nice weather for the eastern portion of the United States. It's so interesting when you get storms like these and being this powerful, they really have an impact on what the global weather pattern is going to be. So what we're going to be watching here in the next 7 to 10 days is as this thing kicks up and kicks into the westerlies, what kind of change does that make in the global circulation pattern? Because every time you get a typhoon or you get a hurricane like this, whether it be in the Pacific or the Atlantic, as they work their way northward, it does change the global pattern. So we'll have to see what the impacts will be of this downrange as we go deeper into the month of November. So I always like to explain weather like a set of dominoes. Weather is like a set of dominoes. So you kind of watch it as it kind of transitions, and you kind of extrapolate what's going to go from one thing to the next. All right, there's our thing right there. All right. Glad to see you guys got some good chats going out there today. Thank you very much, guys. Hey, Edith, good to see you. And Susan. All right. Tyler out there. Is that Aquif? Aquifus? I hope I'm getting your name right there. But there's Mick. Good to see Mick out there. Susie, good to see you. Raman, good to see you as well. Again, I appreciate you guys checking out the channel. And thank you for the new subscriber there. Again, I wish... I would prefer to do these with, I hate watching stuff like this. Personally, this kind of rattles me a little bit because I've been doing this for a long time. I've been seeing stuff like this. And whenever I see that kind of intensity of an eye and knowing that people are living there, it does bother me a little bit because I know we're going to have lost lives. And it's just a question of, you just hope it's not a lot. That's what you hope. I hope that a lot of these people, heed the warning and they just move down to this part of Jamaica, get as far away from the center as possible. And now, traditionally, you would say, well, that's the right side of the storm. That's the strongest. Well, yes, true, but you can't go to the left. You're on an island, so you want to go to the safest place possible, and that was basically Kingston to the right, as far away as you could get. I think the westward jog yesterday did help a little bit. There was a little bit of a western jog yesterday that allowed the storm to kind of go a little bit more. And then there was a little bit of a western jog again right before landfall, which took it over Montego Bay. And I'm really interested to see how those tourist operations came out looking on this. Let me go over here. I'm going to go back over to Twitter once again. I'm going to keep this in studio mode real quick while I go take a look at some stuff real quick for you guys. So stand by with me for a second. And I'm going to go ahead and do another hurricane. You just got to refresh and keep looking at, see if there's anything new that's kind of come in here yet. So here I'm kind of looking. Ooh, I still love that video. That's awesome. That was yesterday's run. All right, so this just came out. It says Starlink's Elon Musk Starlink just made the service free for Jamaica and the Bahamas as category. So Starlink is stepping in to have the communications part open for that area. All right, that's good to hear that. And I'm trying to see. The thing is, when you're looking on social media, I'm trying to see if there's anything posting that's new as far as damage and stuff. And of course, communications and power are a premium. You're not going to get that there. So for those who haven't seen this, this is probably the scariest thing to me. Is this video here? Let me get this up for you here real quick. I'll show you this video. This is probably the scariest video that you're going to see coming out of here. Is this video here. I mean, this is just unbelievable amount of flooding and rains that come out of this. And you know somebody got trapped in that. So that's probably the scariest video that I've seen come out of Jamaica. Assuming that's legit. I know it's so hard. And this is probably, this is the roof damage here. Have you seen this? This is, but I'm looking to see. I'm not seeing anything new come out of here yet. I'm just kind of scanning through here. Now that is AI. that, my friends, is AI. That is not the storm. I mean, it looked like that, but the airplane flying over that's not what an eye wall looks like. No, that is AI. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. You guys see what I'm talking about? That is an AI generated image. That is not a legitimate image there. I can tell by looking at it. That's AI. That is not legit. Does not look like that. Let's see the video here. There's some more flooding. The flooding video there out of Kingston there. So that was earlier. That's still looking there. That blows my mind. Somebody actually posted that, and they'll believe it too. They will absolutely believe that's the vortex. It looked like that. I mean, but not from a plane observation looking at spinning that speed. No way. that's kind of funny to look at. That's unreal. Anyway, I'm thinking of being funny, but at the same time, I know we're going to have to deal with some deaths. So here's the deal, folks. I want to give you all an update. So tomorrow morning, I'll be back on about 8-ish or so. We'll get an update on where this thing is at. We'll take a look at the latest wind speeds. We'll take a look what's going on in the track through the Bahamas. We're going to track it through the Bahamas tomorrow, and we'll give you updates. If you'd like to participate and make sure you get the notification on when we do the live coverages here, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you get the alert on the phone. I know I've been getting reports from some of my guys saying they don't get the notification on there. I can't control YouTube. I know YouTube likes to favor the bigger channels. So, but you guys just go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and join me for the coverage tomorrow. We'll look at Twitter. Hopefully we'll get some new images to look at from there as well, and we'll get an idea of what's going on right now. So right now, as far as the only live camera that I've got that's coming out of there is out of Kingston's Harbor. We still got power there down the way, so it did not get the hurricane force winds there and stuff like that. So again, thank you for that new subscriber. I do appreciate you guys coming on board. So that's the plan. Be back in here tomorrow after 8 o'clock. We'll have the 8 o'clock advisory. We'll look at what's going on with Cuba and with the Bahamas, and then we'll track this thing up and hopefully say goodbye to Melissa. And hopefully this is the last storm of 2025. I'd like to make it the last one. And again, thank you for y'all. Y'all are awesome. Y'all are awesome. I love the new subscribers. Y'all hitting that button, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel appreciated to give you guys some. Let me share my experience and my knowledge with you guys and my expertise. It's an honor. It really is because a lot of folks do this. Some do it for the bucks. Some do it for the clicks. Some do it for whatever. I'm a meteorologist trying to operate a small business in my local community, and I like to keep my main channel here going from a national perspective as well. So I'm a true weather geek at heart, thus the name Weather Nerds, although I'm going to be rebranding the channel here soon to kind of match my local channel. But again, I do appreciate you guys staying on board with us here today. All right, that's it for now. You guys take it easy, and thank you for all the subscribers. Y'all can keep that going until the day I click off. I appreciate it, and we will see you guys here tomorrow morning. Just hope to see you then, and we'll continue our coverage here on this historic storm. Again, if you didn't hear, it hit with 185-mile-per-hour winds, Category 5 storm, gust of 220. The pressure fell to 892 right before landfall. Like Hurricane Michael did in 2018. Just an unprecedented storm. All right, that's it, guys. You guys take it easy. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Hope to see you back then. Okay? Have a good night. Bye-bye, guys.